Imagine walking into a police station, giving investigators the exact address where innocent lives are trapped underground, and having them walk away because the key didn't fit the door. That single moment of negligence didn't just cost lives, it shattered the trust of an entire European nation forever. What happens when the people sworn to protect you become the very reason a tragedy unfolds? This is the story of how institutional failure, missed warnings, and systemic corruption unraveled the peace of a country. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. In the summer of 1995, a quiet European community was shaken when two 8-year-old girls, Sarah and Maya, vanished without a trace on a bright afternoon. Families rallied, search parties swept the country, and desperate parents begged authorities for answers. The primary suspect was a man named Marcus, a convicted offender previously released early under lenient parole terms despite a history of severe offenses. Informants, neighbors, and even Marcus's own mother contacted local authorities, stating that he was building hidden underground compartments on his property. Yet months passed with minimal action. During a routine search of one of Marcus's properties, officers claimed they heard children's voices through the walls, but dismissed the noise as coming from outside and left without investigating further. The situation grew critical when two more teenagers, Chloe and Hannah, disappeared months later, followed by two additional young girls, Emily and Clara. A crucial tip finally led police to arrest Marcus in August 1996. When investigators finally breached a concealed basement beneath his floorboards, they rescued Emily and Clara alive. But the relief was short-lived. The horrifying reality emerged that Sarah, Maya, Chloe, and Hannah had perished, two of them having starved while Marcus was briefly jailed for unrelated auto theft charges, despite officers visiting the house. Public outrage reached a boiling point when the lead prosecutor, who made actual progress, was removed from the case over a minor technicality. Over 300,000 citizens took to the streets in massive protest, convinced higher authorities were concealing a larger network. The case forever changed the nation's faith in its legal system. The immediate aftermath of the arrests exposed a staggering trail of administrative errors, misplaced evidence, and bureaucratic stonewalling that left the entire public stunned. Investigators discovered that local law enforcement agencies were operating in complete isolation from one another, refusing to share crucial intelligence files due to petty jurisdictional rivalries. While parents were hanging missing person posters across every city square, critical tips about Marcus's suspicious property transactions sat untouched in forgotten filing cabinets for months. Citizens began asking how a man with an extensive record could operate an elaborate, highly organized operation right under the noses of federal authorities without triggering a single intervention. The frustration escalated into direct confrontation when public court proceedings revealed that multiple witness statements detailing suspicious vehicles and hidden structures had been outright ignored by lead investigators. Each passing day brought new revelations that painted a picture not just of incompetence, but of potential complicity within the highest ranks of the justice system. Rumors spread rapidly across the country that high-ranking officials were protecting Marcus to prevent their own involvement in broader criminal rings from coming to light. The suspicion grew so intense that ordinary workers, teachers, and business owners began organizing their own independent rallies, demanding a total purge of the existing judiciary and law enforcement leadership. The critical turning point arrived when a senior magistrate, widely respected for his unyielding commitment to uncovering the full truth, was abruptly stripped of his duties by higher authorities. The official justification was a minor procedural infraction. He had attended a charity dinner organized by the victims' grieving families, which the court ruled as a compromise of his judicial neutrality. This decision was the final straw for a populace that had already lost all faith in the system's ability to police itself. Within hours of the magistrate's dismissal, spontaneous strikes shut down transit networks, factories, and schools as the nation stood at a complete standstill. The widespread public pressure eventually forced the government to establish an extraordinary parliamentary inquiry aimed at restructuring the entire national security and judicial framework from the ground up. Over the course of the multi-year investigation, dozens of senior officials resigned in disgrace, and entire police divisions were dissolved and completely rebuilt to ensure cross-agency transparency. Though the legal proceedings eventually concluded with maximum sentences, the emotional and psychological scars remained permanently etched into the public consciousness. The tragedy fundamentally altered how citizens viewed their leaders, serving as a permanent reminder of what happens when institutional accountability completely breaks down. In the years that followed the parliamentary inquiry, the national legal framework underwent the most drastic reform in its modern history. The split law enforcement entities, whose stubborn refusal to share information directly contributed to the delays, were completely abolished and unified under a single, centralized police command. A permanent, independent oversight committee was established to monitor judicial appointments, ensuring that political connections could no longer shield officials from public scrutiny or procedural audits. Every case file involving missing minors was placed under mandatory dual-agency review to guarantee that no single investigator could ever dismiss a credible lead without secondary authorization. For the families of the victims, structural reforms offered necessary answers, but they could never heal the profound personal losses suffered during those agonizing months. The parents transformed their immense grief into continuous advocacy, establishing national support centers for missing children that operate to this day. Their persistence ensured that future warning signs would never again be silenced by bureaucratic apathy, forever changing how child protection services operate across the region. Annual remembrance gatherings continue to draw thousands, serving as both a solemn memorial to the young lives lost and a quiet, watchful reminder to public servants of their sworn duty to protect the innocent. The lasting legacy of this crisis extended far beyond statutory changes and government restructuring. It fundamentally reshaped the national psyche. Citizens who once held unwavering belief in the integrity of public institutions adopted a permanent, watchful skepticism toward those in authority. The story remains one of the clearest historical examples of how institutional neglect can tear at the fabric of a society, proving that trust, once shattered on such a massive scale, takes generations to truly rebuild. Ultimately, the painful lessons learned during those dark days serve as a powerful testament to the necessity of relentless public vigilance and uncompromised governmental accountability. Today, the legal safeguards born from that turbulent era stand as standard protocol across much of the international community. Modern child tracking networks, rapid cross-jurisdictional alert systems, and mandatory multi-agency task forces all trace their origin back to the structural overhauls forced by this public awakening. Courts worldwide adopted stricter standards for parole evaluations and home inspections, ensuring that individuals with severe violent histories could never exploit regulatory loopholes again. The policy shifts proved that systemic failure, when met with relentless civic determination, can drive permanent and meaningful legal transformation. Yet, despite all the modern protocols, advanced technology, and streamlined police divisions, the true measure of this story lies in the lasting cultural shift it left behind. Generations grew up hearing how a handful of brave parents and hundreds of thousands of ordinary people took to the streets to demand justice when the legal machine refused to act. It proved that an informed, vigilant public remains the ultimate safeguard against government complacency and administrative neglect. When systems fail to protect the most vulnerable, accountability depends on the courage of ordinary people who demand the truth. As we look back at how a single case exposed the deepest flaws of a nation's judicial architecture, it forces us to reflect on our own institutions today. Trust in authority is never guaranteed. It is maintained only through constant transparency, swift action, and unwavering commitment to the public good. When those principles are forgotten, The consequences are disastrous, but the resolve to fix them can reshape history. Thank you for watching, and remember to leave your thoughts in the comments below on how we can continue to hold public systems accountable. Although the primary narrative of this documentary series has reached its conclusion, the lingering questions surrounding institutional trust and systemic reform continue to resonate across modern society. When public systems prioritize bureaucratic convenience over basic human safety, the resulting breakdown extends far beyond any single legal proceeding or parliamentary report. The story remains an enduring study in civic resilience, showing how ordinary people can unite to challenge established authority and demand complete transparency when those in power fail to fulfill their primary duty to protect the innocent. Thank you for following this full series on one of the most critical turning points in modern European history. If you found this narrative compelling, please like this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments on how modern legal systems can better protect communities, and share this story to help keep public institutions accountable. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming true story documentary investigations.